Each family has a laugh track.
We tell people all the time, sit down with yourselves, have a meeting with yourself. People say, well, that's weird.
Women don't tell jokes. Women tell stories. So if a woman says, I have something really funny to tell you, she's not telling you a joke.
How can we bring more humor into our lives? This is important.
One thing I learned about going to an all-male school, there is rarely laughter coming out of the men's room.
I always direct it toward myself. I find that everyone loves that because I'm not making fun of anyone. I'm making fun of myself.
I'll forgive you for telling me that story if you forgive me for not laughing.
Welcome to Marriage IQ, the podcast helping you become an intelligent spouse.
I'm Heidi Hastings.
And I'm Scott Hastings.
We are two doctors, two researchers, two spouses, two lovers, and two incredibly different human beings coming together for one purpose: to change the stinky parts of your marriage into scintillating ones using intelligence mixed with a little fun. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Marriage IQ. Before we dive into part 2 with our interview with Gina Barreca, we just want to remind everybody to go to marriageiq.com and go under the tab that says Weekly Tips. There you'll see our blog with every single week a 1-minute read email that goes out or that we post on our blog, helping you have a more scintillating marriage. And it always includes a really cool tip for you to try out with your spouse for that week. If you fill out the information in the little pop-up box with your email subscribing to the weekly marriage tips email, you're also entering our giveaway competition that we're holding between now and the 18th of November, where you can win date night on us.
That's
on
right.
Marriage IQ. So tell everybody you know. Go sign up for the weekly tips, and
Get your spouse to sign up too.
Yeah,
that doubles your chances.
We'll be giving away 5 date night packages. So, all right, now on to part 2 of our interview with Gina Barreca. In this part of the interview we had with her, we're going to be talking more about humor. That has been a big part of her research as a professor and part of what she writes a lot about. And she is so good at bringing humor into circumstances. In this part of the episode, she's sharing with us how humor can impact relationships, how men and women approach humor differently, and how we can use humor to overcome difficult circumstances. So here we go. Welcome again to Gina Barreca.
Getting back to the whole thing about expressing ourselves precisely, that really kind of feeds into our 4 cornerstones here on Marriage IQ. These are 4 solid cornerstones that we have a marriage podcast, but it's really about us, about myself. How can I become a better person? Because if I become a better person, our marriage becomes better. And they all start with I. We did that on purpose. Identity. If we learn to speak a language of clarity, we learn more about who we are, right?
Yep.
Who we want to become. It's really important for people who want to have success in life to define what they're after and who they are, right? And then intentionality. We got to sit down with ourselves. We tell people all the time, sit down with yourselves, have a meeting with yourself. People say, well, that's weird. But no, that's actually essential to be intentional with your life. Sit down, make plans, insight. That's the 3rd cornerstone. Learning from our mistakes, learning from, wow, okay, what role did I play in this blow up?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did this happen? That's insight. And then, of course, intimacy is really the 4th cornerstone that brings it all together, because that's where the magic happens in that relationship as we learn these things.
Right. Because that was the real gift. That was the bone.
So you are an expert at humor, like we've seen and like you've explained in your childhood. For me, who struggles with, I think I say sometimes I laugh responsibly, and I am only funny on occasion. When I am, I'm pretty funny, but it's only on occasion. What tips can you have on how, as a woman, to bring more humor into marriage? In what areas does that benefit marriage? How does that make a difference?
Great question. And I think that, again, going back to sort of family of origin stories, each family has a laugh track. And some families' laugh tracks encourage people, again, to keep quiet, to internalize their responses. And especially for families that might have very traditional gender role expectations. Certainly my family did. And, I was raised to be a good girl. And good girls don't laugh with their mouths open. Good girls aren't funny. Good girls laugh at the jokes of other people. Good girls are like cheerleaders. Like they're not the one playing in the field. They have pom-poms on the side. But one of the things that I noticed growing up and has been sort of validated by my life as an adult is this idea that women have no sense of humor. I mean, I grew up hearing women have no sense of humor. Or women hear, oh, you're so sensitive. Oh, you can't. And women can't tell a joke. Women not only can't tell a joke, we will ruin jokes for others, right? Women who remember everything, we remember the names of our best friend's dog from high school. We remember everybody's birthdays, right? I mean, birthdays, I think for the most part, would be lost to history if women were not doing kinship patterns and remembering everybody's birthday. So we remember everything, but somehow women can't remember a joke. No, most of the jokes that are around there are not in our interest to remember. It is not in the woman's interest to remember two blondes walk into a bar with a 12-inch pianist. It is not in our interest. That is not going to make our lives better to haul around that joke. So women will go up to guys and say, hey, all right, Scott, remember we heard that joke the other night that was really funny? That was that joke. Tell that one. Tell them that when they're going to like it. Tell that one about the shrimp. And then Scott go, I can't tell that one about the shrimp because shrimp is the punchline. So now I can't tell because you said the punchline. So it is that because you know what? Women don't tell jokes. Women tell stories. So if a woman says, I have something really funny to tell you, she's not telling you a joke. She's going to tell you something that happened. And if a woman says, I got something funny to tell you, if you're smart, you'll sit down because you're going to be there a long, long time, right? She says, okay, because he's going, all right, there was this elephant that, and she's going, okay, this is something really funny. I was on the highway the other day and I thought, I'm going to get myself a cup of coffee. And then I'm thinking, I really, I got to cut down the caffeine. I'm just too much of the caffeine. And somebody else comes over and goes, you know what? There's decaf now. Decaf is pretty good. Some other woman is coming over going, green tea. Have green tea. It's really good for you. It's healthy. Another woman is coming over going, I have coupons. Buy more cells, special medicinal teas. And somebody's coming over. And some poor guy has been listening. What's the funny part? And women are like, I don't know. She was like, she was going to get a cup of coffee. And we'll it's not like there was always laughter coming out of the ladies' room. Never noticed that? Yeah. There was always laughter coming out of the ladies' room. One thing I learned about going to an all-male school, there is rarely laughter coming out of the men's room. There is rarely laughter. These guys pee in a trough. They have no idea what's going on. Women are in the ladies' room bonding because we carry everything we need with us in a 500-pound purse. And so if somebody comes in and says, I have a headache, somebody is opening the bag saying, aspirin, Motrin, Tylenol, is it allergy related? I have Sudafed, I have Actifed. I mean, we are bonding immediately. We have different, the two of you talked about that. We have different ways of communicating. But women are laughing together. But it's not because there's a joke. Women are laughing.
Not a punchline.
Not a punchline. It's because women are laughing together because we realize we're not nuts and we're not alone.
I love that different perspective on humor. That's really great.
Well, I will have to say, I'm going to back up here. Heidi is funny, but it's like a lightning strike. You never know when it's coming. And when it comes, it's fast and furious. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to just let everything go and let her have it because she's funny right now. And I'm just going to stand back and watch.
But Scott and our 4 kids are all pretty witty. Most of them are able to just carry on in witty ways that I kind of admire and wish that that was me. It's not, but I love that if I can tell stories or if I can just be with people that I just met and find things to enjoy and laugh about together, that's also a part of humor.
Absolutely. And I think that humor, all these kinds of humor can be healing, can be a way to tell a story that's dangerous. Humor, as I talk about in Gina School, there are several parts about humor. And it's almost, Scott, what you were just saying is sort of humor is like a third rail. It's incredibly powerful. And sometimes it gets to the heart of the matter and immediately it sort of illuminates. There are sparks and splashes and light. And sometimes it'll kill you. I mean, humor can also be, but incredibly harmful.
Yeah.
And dangerous. I mean, humor.
In what way?
Humor can be very hurtful. I mean, people who use humor well rarely use it as a weapon except in self-defense. It's almost like Tai Chi or some kind of martial art, where you take somebody's sort of negative energy that's coming at you and you play it back at them. And again, that's often been the women's role or a role of somebody who's in a less authoritative position. So that, for example, the first woman to ever work at the White House as a press secretary was a woman named Liz Carpenter. And Liz Carpenter wrote a book about her time at the Johnson administration. And a statesman, Washington guy, came up and in that just kidding, Liz, just come on, just joking sort of way, came up and said, loved your book, Liz. Who wrote it for you? And it was Arthur Schlesinger Jr. who asked her that. And instead of like going, oh, why are you trying to attack me? I put so much of myself into that. She goes, oh, glad you like the book, Arthur. Who read it to you? And now that says, you know what? If we're going to play, we're both going to play.
I think that's a great point, because I think if somebody tries to infuse humor into a really serious discussion, maybe, we're talking about trauma or betrayal, that can backfire pretty bad. And so just learning how to learn this language. This is really, our podcast is a language learning lessons.
Or that's even sarcasm. I was talking to a friend recently that her grandchildren and one of her children sit around the table and they're being funny about her and they're all laughing. They're all having a good time, but she's not. It's hurtful.
Well, I found too, when I try to use humor with other people, I always direct it toward myself. I find that everyone loves that because I'm not making fun of anyone. I'm making fun of myself. I feel strong about myself. I don't feel like I'm attacking myself, and everyone has a good time, including me.
Right.
Because I know, I know at the end of the day, I'm just a human like you guys, and I'm diffusing all that tension from expectation of not being human into myself. I'll take the hit. I don't care.
And I think that there are two things going on with that. The first thing I would say about the friend who feels the victim of her family's sarcasm, right? Again, that's setting up the laugh track so that she's the target.
Yeah, that's unhealthy.
Yeah. And when somebody, and again, when I do these workshops, when I talk about humor, when somebody says, what if somebody says something to me that I find really aggressive, or tells a joke or tells a story that I find really hurtful. And even if it's not about me, I could see that it's hurting somebody else. What can I do rather than get into an argument? And I find that you need to react to it, because otherwise you're up all night writing little notes on a pad next to the bed. I should have said this and I should have said this. And it occupies space in your head that could be used better. So when somebody says something that really you don't want to do the fake laughter and just let it go. You say, you know what? I'll forgive you for telling me that story if you forgive me for not laughing. And it registers. It says, you crossed the line. Like, this is not okay. And I'm not going to laugh. But you don't get into a whole argument. But you have your voice heard. And again, it's articulating something. It is putting into language something that makes you feel like you're really there. And then the idea about using self-deprecating humor is often, just as you said, very useful. It can make people feel attached to you because you're showing your vulnerability as well as showing your strength. But you have to make sure, again, that you're in a powerful enough position. Again, women or people who are not in powerful positions will go, oh, I'm such a ditz. I do this, I do, whatever. And they're making fun of themselves. And then people around them, if they don't know them, might go, oh, she's a ditz.
That's a good point.
They're getting it as a joke.
Okay. So you need to be kind of in a position where kind of a respect, right? And you take on that self-deprecating role. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Great perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. So it really is, if you're in a vulnerable position, you can't afford to do that.
I see. This is a great thing to talk about humor because it's very timely. For my birthday, my wife, Heidi, she said, because we talk about this. We talk about this in every week in our couples council. How can we bring more humor into our lives? This is important. And so for my birthday, she surprised me with 2 tickets. We're going tonight to see Nate Bargatze.
Oh, I love Nate Bargatze.
In Dallas. He's coming. Yeah. So we're going to think about this interview as we're there laughing our heads off tonight with Nate. And I'm so appreciative to my wife for thinking of how she could both give me a birthday present and also instill more humor. So thank you.
Because I love you so much.
That's wonderful. And Bargatze is the perfect example of a comic. I mean, a brilliant comic.
Brilliant.
Who crafts stories. It's not jokes.
Right.
Yeah.
They're short stories. The mechanics behind the stories reach into your heart. They're memorable and funny because he's giving you a piece of himself that you take away. I envy you. You'll have a wonderful time. Happy birthday. That's great. And it's humor you can share. I mean, that's wonderful. Going to see, being present as somebody's up there doing that for real that's magnificent.
Yeah. We have just loved our time with you today. It's been delightful. I would love to give you just a minute in closing to share about your book that was just released. And what are some of the biggest takeaways in that can pertain to marriage? Why would people who listen to us want to buy your book? And where can they find more of what you do?
Oh, thank you very much for asking about Gina School. So yeah, Gina School just came out. It's published by Hurtful Press. It is available anywhere that you get your books. You can get it on IndieBound. You can get it on Amazon, although it's sold out on Amazon, so they're going into another printing. And there's a lot about relationships. I believe that the people who love what you do would also love to take a look at this. Part of it is about age and growing, I wouldn't say older together, but growing together as we go through life. Part of it is about humor. So again, it's beautifully illustrated. It's a former student of mine who's an artist.
Oh, great.
Nice.
On every page. So it was a real collaboration. And again, learning how to speak different languages, because his was the language of image and mine was words. It was fun across, generational difference. He's 27, comes from a very different world. We had to make all of this work. So going back to the idea of humor. Humor is a show, as I was just discussing, humor is a show of both strength and vulnerability. We're willing to make the first move, but you are trusting the response of your listener. So I think that that's an important idea. I think that in terms of what we love, John Gibet did such a wonderful idea with, again, the images to illustrate the words. So this is lesson 68. Some things are better the second time around. This include pasta, turkey, and love. Help me.
God's my second shot at love, and he's been amazing.
Sometimes it's just what we need to do. There's another one. Humor, one more. Humor is alchemy. Humor is alchemy, transforming a crisis, insecurity, or tragedy into comedy, confers a validity on something in a life that is otherwise denied value or meaning. So that you can make a story out of it. You get your deposit back. It becomes yours. You get a return. So thank you both very much. What a fun conversation.
This has been great.
So enjoyable. Thank you.
Do you have a website?
Yes, actually, people can find me at ginabarreca.com. That's GinaBarreca. And I write for Psychology Today, the University of Connecticut. So I'm easy to find, and I answer emails.
Well, thanks so much, Gina.
Thanks for being with us.
Have me on again.
Will do. Let us know when your next book comes out.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on Marriage IQ. We hope that you've been able to learn from Gina and our discussion today to have a more scintillating marriage. Remember that the intelligent spouse knows that to change from a stinky to a scintillating marriage first requires a change in themselves.
And everybody, we'll see you next week on another exciting episode of
Marriage IQ.